Disney Star Wars Andor is crashing. And if you thought some of the worst viewership of any major intellectual property on Disney Plus for Andor Season 1 was bad, well, hold on to your butts, because this one in Season 2 might actually turn in even lower numbers. This is a $650 million and rising as the bills continue to come in. Capital investment by the Walt Disney Company and their shareholders. And at some point, the folks on Wall Street are going to have to ask Bob Iger and the Mouse House, what the hell is going on? Because Disney Plus is falling well behind when it comes to viewership of almost all of its relevant peers in the streaming service, especially when you take into account Disney's enormous budgets, and Andor is the most egregious violator of that. Well, we've got some news today as new streaming numbers come out this week from LUMINATE, and Andor Season 2's premiere didn't even make it. And no matter how good the reviews for your $650 million plus show are, if nobody's watching it, well, it doesn't matter. Renegade Online. Well, folks, welcome back. It's another great day here at Valiant Renegade. It's good to see all of you out there once again. And if you are like one of the many watching this video not yet subscribed to this channel, please take a moment and turn that little red subscribe button to gray. Hit that like button, hit that notification bell, share this sucker out on the social medias, and of course, please do leave a comment before you head out the door today. Make sure to join us every Sunday and Wednesday afternoon right here at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show. We've all been talking about this story this week because one of the problems with this show is what is actually leading this show in the media. Now, we don't do a lot of big reviews here when it comes to film and television. We try to put everything through the business and financial lens of reality in Hollywood. And media, one way or the other, is one of those things that's going to gauge where the audience is going to go with this. And the problem, of course, with Disney Star Wars, and especially Andor, is that the audience has been decimated over the years since Disney made the purchase for over $4 billion from George Lucas for Lucasfilm back in 2012. We saw the declining revenues of the box office from the first film to the final film that was released in 2019. And by the time the next film from Disney Star Wars will allegedly be released, it will have been 7 years since the last one. And that one right now isn't promising to be that big of a hit, considering where the Disney Plus series of The Mandalorian and adjacent projects like the Book of Boba Fett and Ahsoka, even in terms of viewership and fan interest, have gone since then. Mando Season 3 was a disaster, turning in roughly less than half the audience of Mando Season 2. You have to wonder what reason fans have now to even show up for Star Wars in the theaters anymore. But the problem here is they're not really showing up on Disney Plus either. Skeleton Crew, as a matter of fact, which came out in late 2024, turned in virtually no viewership for a show, for a Star Wars show on Disney Plus. And we saw that it was made evident by the fact that it never once managed to even really chart into the weekly streaming top 10. It's pretty bad for a show that they spend $100+ million or maybe even $200 million on to shoot, and it's got the name Star Wars in the title. It's arguably the most famous brand of film and television in the history of Hollywood. There shouldn't have to be a whole lot of setup to get you there, but that's where we are. And now Andor, well, this is what people are talking about with the latest Disney show. See, it doesn't matter if you really like the show or not, or if the show is really good or not. It's about what's out there. What is the audience for the show? Because Hollywood, regardless of what you may think, is still in the same business as every other business that has ever existed in the history of business. And that's in the money-making business. And when you don't have people watching your television show or going to see your movie, you ain't making. But Valiant, did you even watch Andor? Do you even know? No, I really haven't. I don't care. I didn't care about watching the first season. I don't really have any interest in watching the second season. Star Wars is pretty much done for me. I am like the vast majority of Star Wars fans that have existed in the last 4 decades, where I've become completely apathetic to the franchise because Disney has been such a poor steward of George Lucas's creation that I just don't care anymore. There's nothing left for me to see. But that's not what this video is about. Because you see, it doesn't matter whether I like Andor or any Disney Star Wars for that matter. It doesn't matter if you like Andor or you don't like Andor. See, what matters is how much did Disney spend to make this television show? And then how many people are watching it, especially when you compare it to other projects out there on television right now that have spent pretty much in every case far less than Disney has spent to shoot Andor, and what kind of audiences are they turning in? Well, the numbers for Andor this week on its premiere week, with a near 2.5 hours of runtime for the first 3 episodes that Disney is dropping. 3 episodes per week for 4 weeks, as a matter of fact. You would think that Andor should be able to run up the charts because we've seen great performances from popular television shows with a third of the runtime that Andor has turned in its premiere week. So how did they do? The best way to put it in context is to back up a couple of weeks here. This is Variety Magazine's partnership with LUMINATE, which turns in a very quick return when it comes to weekly streaming data for television originals and movie originals that result on whatever proprietary streaming network there may be out there, be it Netflix, Paramount Plus, Hulu, Disney, Amazon Prime. What you're looking at here is a chart from April 4th to April 10th, the season finale of 1923, the big Taylor Sheridan show that's tacitly connected to Yellowstone. It's a prequel or another prequel that they made, right? 2.8 billion minutes consumed in the United States at the season finale week. That season finale ran about an hour and 50 minutes, just shy of 2 hours. 2.8 billion minutes were consumed between Sunday night, or Sunday morning rather, when it premiered, and all the way through Thursday that week at midnight. So a good 4 to 5 days in that measurement period of consumption. Roughly 20 million people tuned in to watch the season finale of 1923 over that period of time. 20 million, right? And it kept going on week after week from there because we've got updated minutes. But I want you to look down there. $1 Million Secret, 327 million minutes consumed in that same measurement period for a Netflix show. April 11th to April 17th, Black Mirror premiered on Netflix with its 7th season. And the 1 billion minutes watched or so for that one. But look, 1923 was still in the second place chair. The season finale had occurred almost an entire week earlier. So this is people still binging it and watching it and consuming it because of the popularity and the word of mouth. This is unequivocally a show that Paramount made a fabulous financial investment in, considering the size of the audience. 2.8 billion minutes the previous week, 835 million minutes the week after the show finished. That is incredible. But look at the last place show. Number 10, Love on the Spectrum, another Netflix show, 402 million minutes watched. And now we come to the crux of the problem for the Walt Disney Company, for Kathleen Kennedy, for Lucasfilm, for Disney Star Wars in general. Here it is. Ransom Canyon on Netflix. I have no idea what this is, but Netflix has a binge model, right? 2.6 billion minutes consumed, followed by a very popular brand new show with no intellectual property big name behind it. It is a Paramount Plus show called Mobland. Excellent show. Black Mirror, on down the line. Your Friends and Neighbors on Apple TV, which nobody has Apple TV, it seems like. The Pit on Max. The Residents, The Glass Dome, Happy Face, and Bosch Legacy. Forgive me, but I fail to see the name Star Wars Andor anywhere in that top 10.
But wait, there's more.
The number 10 spot on this list has the fewest amount of consumed watch minutes, that I've seen in a good long time in the top 10. 278 million minutes consumed of the season finale of Bosch Legacy on Amazon Prime. Now, I don't know anybody that's talking about that show. I'm not saying it's not good. I'm not saying it's not popular, but certainly I've not seen much conversation of any kind on this show anywhere. So that means that all Andor had to do in the first 54 hours that it was out, that means 2 days and 6 hours. The premiere night on Tuesday, all day Wednesday, 24 hours there, all day Thursday, 24 hours there. All it had to do with a 2.5 hour available watch time, because there were 3 seasons of Andor that totaled about 150 some odd minutes of available watch time. All it had to do was consume at least 279 million minutes, and it would have made it into the top 10. Andor, all it had to do in the United States was to pull in roughly 1.9 million views of people who started it and then completed it. All 3 episodes, 2.5 hours, effectively a little bit of a long movie, and this thing would have charted. But it didn't. And just to confirm what I'm talking about, let's take a look at the actual episode list for Andor. You can see there Tuesday, April 22nd for episode 1, episode 2, and episode 3. We click in. We can see the episode title and the runtime. Episode 1, 1 year later, 51 minutes. Episode 2, 44 minutes. And episode 3, 53 minutes. Again, that's roughly 2.5 hours of available runtime, even if you skip through the 5 minutes or so of end credits on each episode. The Walt Disney Company has deliberately released these in batches of 3. I promise you this was planned early on, because Disney has had such a difficult time actually charting in the ratings. It's showing the absolute weakness of their shows, and not just any random show, but shows that are connected to 2 of the most major pieces of intellectual property, things that Bob Iger refers to as core intellectual properties for Disney. Things like Marvel and Star Wars. Think of the disaster of some of the recent Marvel entries they've had. Daredevil wasn't even really able to get into the top 10 but once or twice during its run, and that was only on the weeks where it overloaded the amount of runtime in episodes to do it. Random shows on Amazon Prime and Netflix are constantly punching them out of the top 10, and it's got to be especially embarrassing when you consider this. The Walt Disney Company, according to their own filings in the United Kingdom, their own financial reporting, the Walt Disney Company's own data says that as of their last filing, cumulatively, for the first 2 seasons of Andor, they had already spent $645 million in the production of these seasons. This is absurd, and the scary thing is that all the bills haven't yet been reported. This is a show that could easily, by the time all's said and done, by the time we get the next filing or 2 related to the financial reporting on this show, it might be close to $800 million. Now, granted, that is before some film tax credits. But even if you presume that they got the full 25% on every penny they spent, which they can't, that would still pull down the net cost to $600 million after they get their film tax credits. That red line of total cost of $644.9 million equivalent, well, it's either one of 2 things, ladies and gentlemen. Either Disney is accurately reporting their financial expenditures, or they are committing tax fraud in the United Kingdom against the crown. I'll let you folks out there decide which one you think it is, but I'm going with the fact that Disney is reporting accurately and honestly under the terms of the law. And it still means that Disney is spending way too much money on a show that, frankly, nobody is watching. Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.